Hello, members. Tom Morrison here from the Metal Treating Institute, right here in Nashville, Tennessee, your corporate offices for our membership worldwide. And we're excited you're here today. Today, we're going to be talking about an amazing topic circled around getting you good, affordable, and accessible property and casualty insurance at all levels. It's a big deal. We got Dochterman Insurance Agency here with us. But before we get on board, I want to let you know that in the right hand, you can see the chat box. If there's any questions you want to ask on any particular issue that you hear or comment, please put it in there, and I'll be monitoring those questions. And Jamie and Jonathan today can answer those for you. Any question you have, we want to answer those. A couple big things going on with Metal Treating Institute. So we just got back from our winter board meeting and strategic planning session. And the board was so focused on some amazing creative things. We'll be coming out with news on that in the coming weeks. The board is putting a lot of focus on things that you're worried about and concerned about, like highly accurate forecasting so you can make those big decisions on finances and hiring. Automated training that automates your new board onboarding and your technical training and your managerial training. Just so many things that we're going to be working on the next 3 to 4 months to make value better to you so you can run a more effective, more efficient, more productive, more profitable business. So be on the lookout for all those big happenings. But the one thing we want to talk about today is one of your top three costs in a lot of heat treat. You got labor, you got energy, and you got your property and casualty insurance with all different types of coverages and stuff, blowing the bottom lines up. So what I'm excited about this group is they have come on board 2 years ago and they've been saving members 20 to 40%. And I've even had stories of members that got renewals and went to Dochterman and got their coverages with this new program we got, and they saved over six figures. Six figures. Do the math. That's a good thing. So we want to drive money to your bottom line on cost, and insurance is a big one. So let's open up today by just welcoming Jamie and Jonathan. If the both of y'all could take a few moments to just introduce yourself to our crowd and tell them a little bit about you.
Sure. Thanks so much, Tom. Jamie Ausec here with Dochterman Insurance. Been to several events all over the nation, Canada. Excited for the spring meeting and focusing exclusively on saving heat treaters money here. Thanks so much for having us today.
Jonathan?
Yeah, my name is Jonathan Dochterman, president owner of Dochterman Insurance Services. We've been in business for over 15 years, working in the metal and plastic space exclusively. We work with a lot of heat treaters. We put a lot of programs together, and we're grateful and happy to be part of MTI to help all its members out as well.
Well, timing is everything with this program. As we were talking before we got on here, I can remember we did a survey to our members on their members were squawking a lot about how they can't get insurance and people were getting canceled and the premiums were going up astronomically. And so we put a survey out to our members to ask, what are your big issues? And that was it. I mean, like 60% of our members were just frustrated because they were access to insurance. People were leaving the marketplace for heat treaters just because of the risk, potential risk. Rates were being astronomically going up. And then all of a sudden, I ran in and get connected to Dochterman Insurance Agency, who specializes, who would have thought this, specializes in the metalworking field. So my first question, Jamie, to you and Jonathan, I mean, this has been a great partnership so far. We've grown over $1 million in premium, I think, for the members that are in it, and it's going well. What makes Dochterman so special and separates you from other carriers that try and write heat treaters?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I mean, Jonathan kind of hit on it when he was doing his intro. We have been working in the metal industry for 20 years exclusively. That's our passion, that's our knowledge base, that's our expertise. So we do intricately know and understand the risk profiles of all companies involved in the metal industry at large, including heat treaters, which is a very nuanced industry, as we all know. Since we work with so many of them and understand them and the challenges that we face, we really made it our goal to create insurance programs and negotiate insurance terms that are favorable for heat treaters so that they can find affordable and adequate coverage.
Any thoughts from you, Jonathan?
No, I mean, Jamie said it. We've been, most insurance brokerages out there are generalist brokers, and they work with contractors and restaurants and are a mile wide and inch deep. And we solely focus, like Jamie said, in the metal and plastic world. And we're able to build programs and negotiate rates that are favorable for our manufacturers and our heat treaters. And yeah, we've been growing our national presence. So we're going to have in the upcoming year or two, we're going to have over 10 to 15 producers nationally to help serve in local local heat treaters and manufacturers in various states. So right now, a lot of us are here in Southern California, but with our expansion plans, we'll be able to have people close to our members.
Well, that's great. I mean, because one of the big things I love about your team is y'all been writing since 2023. You've been writing members all over the country, which is exciting. So Jonathan, throughout the year, we speak obviously with a lot of heat treaters, and heat treaters right now, there's a massive labor shortage thing going on. I mean, it's tough to find people in any industry. And then regulatory compliance. I mean, MTI is deep in the heart of California, helping battle the whole air quality standards things going on there. I mean, that's a tough battle. I mean, if that was to go through in the next year or so, the rules are set up to where it could cost our members $1 million a piece to put the type of equipment in that they need to battle that stuff. So we're trying to help minimize that. We want to keep air quality high, but not with overburdensome regulation. And then rise of energy and rise of insurance, the rise of cost in general are just going up for a lot of our members. So when you look at the insurance landscape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, what are we seeing out there? What heat treaters should be looking to expect?
Yeah, so we've been talking about rising property insurance premiums for years, and it's become very apparent, I believe, nationally, with North Carolina having the hurricanes recently, and Southern California burning. There's an estimate cost of $250 billion it's going to cost from the insurance companies to replace all the buildings and contents that was damaged here. The catastrophic losses have increased 4 times over the last few years, and it's had and will have a huge impact on heat treaters and I mean any shop that has a building and contents in many ways. First off, it's going to increase premium, across the board. So your shop may not be in an area that where the catastrophic loss occurred. You may not be in Southern California where it burned. You may not be in North Carolina. But the insurance companies are raise rates across the board for everybody across the country to help pay for these losses. The other impact it has is that all these property insurance companies buy what's called reinsurance. So if you have a property value of let's say 20 million in your shop, the insurance company will actually purchase reinsurance for let's say 10 or 15 million of excess the 5 million that they're on the hook for. And because of these catastrophic losses, all the reinsurance companies got hit, right? It wasn't like there was a minor damage kind of thing. The reinsurance companies all had to pay out. And because of this, the property carriers have to pay more for reinsurance premium on top of charging shops more premium as well. So we're getting hit from from both sides. On top of this, we're seeing carriers also just pulling out of the marketplace. I mean, we saw Century pull out of the MTI years ago. Carriers are not in the business of losing money. And so in some areas, even here in Southern California, we're seeing carriers pull out certain areas. So it's been tough. Property insurance has been really tough for our heat treaters.
What is kind of a side question? How are the carriers reacting? I mean, what are they feeling right now when they see stuff like going on in California and North Carolina? I mean, what's kind of the thought process?
A lot of carriers, as you've seen in other states, are being forced to provide coverage. And so I kind of equate it to this when I talk to a shop. It's kind of like two people that are dating, okay? And let's say the guy says to the gal, hey, we live too far away. Whatever, your family's crazy, whatever the case may be, he breaks up with her, right? In the end, he's just not that into her. Okay, it's really what it comes down to. That's kind of what it is right now. The carriers don't want to write property coverage in general. It's a loss right now, and like I said, they're not in the business of losing money. So, they try to combine property with other lines of coverage to soften the blow. carriers are just not wanting to write business. And so that's when we're seeing, carriers pull out, and we're seeing a lot of the non-admitted companies come in that are not regulated by the government that charge an arm and a leg, but they're all scrambling. They're losing money, and they're trying to figure out how to keep clients, keep obviously maintaining a business, right? I mean, the way they make money is collecting premium. They have to collect premium. That's their business. So,
Right.
so that they're just in a scramble right now. So,
So that's just, I mean, that's kind of crazy to hear. Um, so what does this mean specifically for heat treaters, and what are some of the bigger issues that they need to work on to, one, make them more attractive to an underwriter? I think that what I loved about what you did when you came on board is you said, Tom, our job is not to sell your members insurance. Our job is to understand their risk and sell their risk to the underwriter. Because
yeah.
I've been in insurance for over 20 years as well, off and on, and that is kind of the big deal: is how do you sell the underwriter the risk? And so, what should heat treaters look to do to make themselves attractive? And internally, whether through safety programs or what are the things they need to do to keep their premiums minimal?
Yeah, great question. I mean, heat treating operations innately are tougher to insure than, let's say, an office building or a warehouse. I think when I was up in Niagara Falls and we did that presentation, when we put it up on the screen, it kind of came together for people visually seeing, if you were going to put your money to be the financial backstop for something with flames on their website or
Right.
just an open warehouse, that really resonated with people. And so, what we've been doing since we've been consulting a lot of these companies is just helping them understand that when we're selling the risk, we have to tell them a story, and it's got to be a great story, right? So we have to first look at, the extreme heat fall involved in a heat treating, the rapid temperature changes that can cause metal parts to warp, crack, even explode if they're not carefully controlled. Understanding what are we doing from a preventative maintenance program, how are we controlling the safety and overall reducing risk of damage to equipment or potential injury to workers, right? The equipment itself, the furnaces, the quenching tanks, those can malfunction due to wear and tear. And, some of what we've talked about at the meetings are, scheduled downtime and making sure we're doing those proper maintenance techniques, so we can minimize sudden temperature fluctuations that could potentially cause significant damage or disruption to production. And then also just the different metals and alloys that react very differently to different forms of heat treatment. We need precise adjustments and process parameters. So really education is a huge part of what we've been doing. We've met with shops that in the beginning we weren't able to place 2 years ago because there needed to be some significant changes and modifications to their systems and processes. And now they're at a place where our underwriters feel more comfortable in helping place coverage. So small adjustments over time can make our heat treaters more attractive so that we can sell the risk appropriately and land them in the right program. And thankfully, we have multiple programs now to choose from.
Yeah, so, and to piggyback on that, if we talk about, insurance companies are in the business of making money, right? Just like you, just like me. So if we're expecting them to put up millions of dollars as a financial backstop against the risks of a heat treater, then they want to see that a business is being intentional about protecting these assets, including the building and the contents inside the building. And since property insurance is really the toughest risk right now, we have some things, good things that a heat treater can do to make themselves more attractive, right? So the first thing is that the first picture, okay, that an insurance company sees of a heat treater is their website, okay? And I know everybody likes to put cool pictures of flames, right? Burning the computer down, yeah, exploding out of a machine, okay? I know it looks cool, okay? I get it. I go to the site.
It really does.
Wow, that's so cool, right? But the insurance companies see that, they're like, whoa. No way, right? So I've actually seen also shops using pictures of heat treating facilities that are not their own. Okay, of like these fire pits and people with hard hats walking around and sparks and It's like, it's not your site. It's not, so don't use those. I always suggest to companies, to heat treaters, that if you're going to put stuff on your site, put pictures of the industries you serve, right? To show that you can handle aerospace, you can handle medical, you can handle whatever it is, right? And if you don't do aerospace, certainly don't put pictures of airplanes on your site, because aviation exposure is also kind of a hindrance. Having healthy financials also plays into the underwriting picture. Shops that typically have healthy financials usually make the investment in safety and culture and building, equipment, maintenance, this kind of stuff. One of the biggest things that I see that's been helpful for us create a narrative for our carriers is the building quality, right? The newer the building you're in, the better, okay? Metal buildings are always preferred. They're less likely to burn. Concrete tilt-ups are okay, right? Frame buildings are almost impossible to insure anymore, okay? Depending on where you're at, right? We want to see roofs that are inspected regularly, hopefully replaced in the last, 10, 20 years with metal roofs. HVACs replaced, within the past, 10 years, electrical panels checked annually. Fire alarms, burglar alarms installed. All these things help us create and paint a picture for the carrier. And the trick is, we don't want them to create their own picture in their mind of what our shops look like, right? We want to be in control of that process and paint the picture that we want them to see. So when we talk to a shop and we evaluate, we go through all this stuff. How close is the fire department, right, to your shop? Do you have them do a walkthrough? Is there a fire hydrant close to you? Is there graffiti on the building? This kind of stuff. And I know, I always ask, are the shops sprinkler? Okay, which is always controversial because, I know that sprinklers are not the ideal way to put out a heat treating fire. I get it. But the carriers like to see it because it may not put the fire out in the machine, but it can protect the roof and the walls from burning. So ideally, it's good to have some of those too. And also certainly some fire mitigation measures in the shop are also really good. Preventative maintenance programs. Carriers really like to see that your machines are maintained, right? They're not old or uncared for. Those are the kind of things that cause fire. Leaky furnaces. We've seen losses in this capacity where unwanted, oxygen gets in and causes a fire. So there's different types of fire suppression systems. You guys all know this kind of stuff, but there's different type of fire suppression systems for each type of equipment. There's nitrogen systems, CO2 systems, right, that can pull out the oxygen in a machine. We've seen automatic fuel shutoffs, fire extinguishers, high temp alarms, things like that. Oil absorbent pads close to the equipment is really key. And like I said, when we do an evaluation, we talk to a heat treater, all this comes out in our discovery meeting. And again, it really helps us paint the picture for our underwriters of what the shop actually does and what intentionality you all put into this to protect the assets. That's really the key, right? If you guys do nothing to protect your shop and losses happen and there's a history of losses, the insurance company is not going to want to write you if you haven't done anything about it. So the more intentional you can be, the more you invest in your building, in your people, in culture and safety and this kind of stuff, the better premium savings we can negotiate on your behalf. And we'd far rather you guys invest in yourself than invest in premium, right? For the carrier. So there you go.
So you've mentioned it a couple of times. So safety. So talk a little bit about, MTI has online training and it has safety, and we have a module in there that talks about fire suppression and explosion prevention. And so how important is it for companies to be serious about training their people from top to bottom on the elements of safety when it comes to
it's especially right now with the way the property market is, it's imperative. It's a must. So if I go in there and submit an application for a shop that has or doesn't have losses or whatever, and if they can't describe to me what they do proactively in the shop to prevent a fire, then I'm not going to have much negotiating room or material to paint a positive picture, you know, and I'm not a broker to make stuff up either. I know that some brokers out there do, you know, will add stuff to an application that isn't true, but we're not one of those brokers. So it's imperative. And I mean, second to fire, we've seen a lot of workers' comp incidences in heat treatment facilities as well. So that's where safety comes into play, right? Safety gear, you know, how to operate the machines, how close do you stand to it? We had in the past a shop years ago where a guy had an epileptic seizure and fell into a tank, broke bones, burned himself, claiming it being, you know, over $1.5 million. And a lot of this is preventable from just training, you know. And again, preventative maintenance on your equipment is key. If you want your equipment to, I mean, first off, be efficient and profitable for the owner, right? You're going to want that there. And you don't, I mean, having a loss is extremely expensive. Even if you have insurance, it's still going to be very time consuming and you're going to lose some business in the process, right? And it's, you know, if you just maintain your equipment, whether you guys do it or hire a third party to come in and do it, it is 100% a must.
Yeah.
Just like, again, like taking care of your building, right? Invest some money in your building. If you have an old building, there's trash everywhere, there's graffiti on the outside of it, it's going to be very hard to insure. And again, if you're not willing to put the effort or time or money into protecting your assets in your building, then the insurance company is not going to be willing to provide you terms or favorable terms, right? It works cohesively.
So let me talk. I mean, when you walk through a heat treat plant, there is a lot of activity going on. You got chemicals everywhere. You got furnaces burning. You got forklifts. So how important is it for a owner and his team to work through what we call process flow mapping, which is looking to where everything is and where the traffic flow is for a lot of things, and through the usage of 5S and other things, mapping out your plant so you minimize the opportunity for accidents to happen just because they happen because things aren't in the right place.
Yeah, it's very important. We've seen a lot of like slip and fall accidents for shops that don't have that kind of stuff in place. We see a lot of forklift accidents if they don't have like lanes specifically identified for this kind of stuff. Chemical burns. This is the kind of stuff that's going to happen in your shop if you're not careful and don't put the time, effort, money in place again to protect your people and protect your building. So I immediately know when I walk into a shop, right, within the first 30 seconds, what the loss history is going to look like and what the pricing is going to be like in their in their policy.
Are you Mr. InstaQuote?
We cannot InstaQuote. I wish we could InstaQuote, but we cannot do
Bird
that.
near.
But it's very evident. The other thing I also see, like statistically, is I typically, when I walk into a manufacturing facility, do a tour, I ask to use the restroom because I want to see the shape of the bathroom.
Yeah.
And the shape of the bathroom tells me, right, how much they invest in their people. Do they provide a nice place, right, for the people to use the restroom? And do they keep their shop nice and things like that? So all those things, and even after you bind an insurance policy, an insurance company will do a walkthrough. Sometimes before, there's enough timing before, you know, a proposal needs to be issued. But typically after, they'll do a walkthrough and they'll see for themselves what they're getting into. And so it's very simple to hire a janitor or hire some support cleanup, put the dividing lines in to keep people straight. And, you know, I think it's also a moral duty to protect your people as best you can.
Yeah.
Right. And so you don't want, I mean, nobody wants people to get hurt. Right. So,
Right.
and I've been seeing, we talked about this for a while, but I've been seeing a trend of either new heat treat owners or, you know, the younger generation coming in and taking over, or any owner for that matter, investing more in their building and their people. And so I've been trying to create trends and create data for the insurance companies to say, hey, yeah, this industry is tough, it's risky, They have property exposures and things like that. But here is the trend, right, for this industry. And it's moving in a positive direction. So ideally, right, the shops that we work with are going to be good citizens, again, that care about their people and culture and safety. They're moving in that positive direction. Because like I said, I'd rather see the MTI members invest in themselves and their business than invest in an insurance company and pay some ungodly amount of premium,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So,
So we've talked about a lot of key elements. So is there a mechanism or something in the quoting process, the RFP process that you see heat treaters aren't thinking about when it comes to getting their insurance quoted and getting it right? Is there anything that you say, wow, man, I wish that I'd been thinking about that beforehand?
I mean, yeah, all those factors that I read off to you, like I said, we discover those in our first intro call. Okay. And again, that's the call where we gather information and create a painting, create a narrative and a picture. And so for some shops, I'll say like, well, do you have this? And they'll say, well, no, should I? And I'll say, yes, and here's why. Right. And so even if like you're, let's say, going to replace the roof, right? If it's going to be replaced in the next few months, that's better than telling me like, no, it hasn't been replaced for 50 years and we don't care, right? So all that information, all that intentionality that happens in that first meeting is extremely important. And hopefully, when we have that meeting, we can check all the boxes. The owner's doing everything. He's getting screwed by his current carrier. He's really a good risk though, and we can put him in a good program, right? Again, it's very difficult for me to negotiate terms if the shop is unwilling to make any modifications or be intentional.
Right.
It's very difficult. There are solutions for shops like that, but they're extremely expensive. And so, yeah.
What about documentation? Is there any documentation that you say is vitally important to have on hand or to make sure you keep copies of it so that as you go down this process of renewing premiums and stuff, you've got documentation of X, Y, and Z that shows that you're doing stuff?
Yeah, all the all the preventative maintenance programs you have in place, document it. Carriers may ask to see a copy of it. An IIPP, Injured Illness Prevention Program, okay, which we can help put one together if you don't have one. We have some online solutions for putting those together. Documentation of that. Monthly or quarterly safety trainings are important. Document it, right? Any building maintenance you do. So it's one thing for someone to say like, yeah, we have sprinklers. The carrier may say, okay, well, there was a survey done, ISO survey done in that building 5 years ago that said there's no sprinklers. Okay. And so the carrier may say, well, send me a certificate, of your sprinkler systems being in, they're certified. So it's good to keep all this information because it may need to be given, right? Even like vehicle maintenance program, automotive training, forklift certification, all this kind of stuff is very important to keep. It's also important to keep too because just from a business perspective, it's if an employee goes wonky on you and you have to let him go, you can prove that they took all this training, right? They are a hazard to your shop, and there's grounds for termination. If you don't have documentation of anything, you can end up in a lawsuit, wrongful termination lawsuit. So, having a good HR person, office manager, whoever, controller, tracking everything just from a business perspective is extremely important.
Right. So when it comes to insurance, obviously it's easy when you've got a loss ratio of nothing to low. I mean, every now and then though, I've experienced over 20 years with MTI, somebody has a loss that, it just comes out of nowhere and it wasn't even your fault. It happened. So, and I've had some members over the years that have tried to get insurance and had challenges. So, and, they feel, man, there's no hope. But I mean, if speak to the people that are in that situation of kind of what's the hope and where do they go and what could they expect in the future and how long does that loss have to be off the books for them to be an attractive risk?
Yeah. Well, hopefully hopefully in general, the shop is a safe shop and they had a one-off pop, okay? So whether it's a work comp related injury, okay? You have one guy that got hurt, they identified the reason they got hurt, they put things in place to prevent that person from getting hurt. It could even be, some sort of a property loss as well. You had a battery pack catch fire in the shop and burn down a storage facility. If you can identify what happened and then what you've done to prevent it from happening again, that is a good story that I can sell to an insurance company. But if you have 3 to 4 fires in the last 4 or 5 years, okay, that have been from different situations, or you're having multiple back injuries or multiple carpal tunnel happen in your shop, it means there's a problem. There's a problem somewhere, right? That needs to be addressed. And if the shop is unwilling to address it, then the pricing for the renewal is going to be not favorable, or the carrier won't issue terms. So if something bad happened, it's good to get a team together, do interviews, identify, document what happened, what can be done to prevent it from happening in the future. And then that way, when we're looking at marketing the account, marketing the heat treater, we can discuss with them again as part of the narrative that yes, this has historically been a clean shop. They had a tough guy that he claimed all kinds of work comp related issues that aren't true. It's a BS claim. We're fighting it. I can sell that. Okay. But again, if they have multiple issues, then I'm coming in and saying, listen, what are you doing to fix this?
Right.
You need a resource for a loss control person to come in and evaluate the shop. Where are the people getting hurt? Where are the back issues? Are people lifting more than 50 pounds? Have you done a training on how to lift, right? Use your legs, not your back, this kind of stuff. All those things preventatively, and again, I keep reiterating, being intentional and proactive about things in your shop are imperative. So there are insurance solutions for those that have a lot of losses and don't have a lot of losses that are more intentional. It's just the pricing looks different.
Right.
So we think of ourselves more as consultants than salespeople and producers, because we go and we look holistically and 360 at the manufacturer or the heat treater we're talking to, and again, really want to provide a value and help in any way, shape, or form we can. Ultimately, being able to put them in a good insurance program at a premium that's reasonable, saving money. It's just, unfortunately, with the property market, I know a lot of heat treaters are getting reamed, and so anything preventatively, intentionally they can do will help our case to save them money.
So take it one step further and talk about with MTI and with our partnership with Dochterman, what are the opportunities and solutions for heat treaters when it comes to a program?
Yeah, so when we started out this, couple of years ago, looking at a heat treating solution, we were really looking for one carrier partner to ride it all. And with the unfortunate property market trends that occurred, we realized that there's no, one size fits all. And so we have developed over the years several different programs and solutions for our members, depending on location, whether they're a fit for certain programs. Again, the intentionality, how clean they are, loss history, and things like that. So we do have options for MTI members. We actively are working with a property-only carrier right now who really wants to write heat treaters on an admitted basis, and they write in all 50 states. So in that scenario, we'd have a solution for the general liability, auto, and workers' comp covered, the other commercial lines, and we place the property with this carrier. So we have in our arsenal now several different solutions. Regardless of the solution we work with, the member, the royalty is still paid to MTI, so it's working with us that the royalty then is given back to the chapter. So yeah, so like I said, there's multiple solutions out there right now. We've had to get creative. We've done a lot of work in preparing documentation, loss history, exposure data, trends in working with these carriers to put these things together. You can't just walk up to a carrier and say, hey, I want to write a lot of heat trees with you. Let's go. And
Right.
unfortunately, it is not that way. And if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, right? You'd have 10 different brokers knocking your door. So with programs. So it's not that way, but we do have a lot of good solutions, and we, welcome talking to anybody, and hope people will reach out to us.
Well, our experience the last 2 years so far, I truly believe, Jonathan and Jamie, and listen in members, that if you aren't, because is there any cost to get a quote?
None.
Absolutely
It's just,
not.
it's just time, right?
It's three things. Okay. Three simple things. We need to have a 20, 30-minute discovery call. Okay. With the owner, HR manager, the whole team, whatever. Okay. To really, to discover, talk about the shop. Again, what things they do proactively in the shop, and to paint the picture. Okay. We also need to see electronic copies of their policies. We are legally obligated to provide a proposal that's equal or better than what they currently provide. And so we have to see the terms of what they currently have. And then loss history, right? Telling me that there's no losses isn't enough. Unfortunately, I believe you, okay? But I've had situations where I've been told there's been no losses and there have been. So carriers, for compliance purposes, have to have copies of loss runs dated with their value within 90 days of the effective date. With those three things, we can turn over some options.
Well, I make that comment because after having a fair amount of members who have been insured with y'all come to me, call me. I had literally one person send a blind email to me saying, "Hey, Tom, this is so and so from XYZ Heat Treat. We're a member. We just got our renewal, and it is far beyond anything that we can afford, and I need help. Do you know anybody?" And he wasn't aware yet that we had this program. I said, "Here's the number. Here's Jonathan. Here's Jamie. Call these people up and get your quote." And he called me back, and this was one of the ones that y'all saved like 120 grand on their annual premium, and he couldn't be more happier than to have made that call. So for me, failure to at least get the quote and look at what your options are is like just leaving money on the table.
Yep.
It's just a missed opportunity. It doesn't cost you anything at the very least. And I'll tell you, in all the policies we've reviewed, Tom, very rarely have we found one that said, this is great coverage at the best price available. Very rarely have we seen that. So it's just a missed opportunity. Let us take a look. And if we can give you better coverage and save you money, then it's absolutely a win-win.
Yeah, and here's the thing I want to leave members with a little bit before we end is, like you said, a lot of times it's about how do you sell the underwriter on the risk, and a lot of underwriters don't understand heat treating. They put them in a box and they just say you're full of fire and you are you're not a good risk. So but if you're willing to pay for it, we're gonna give it to you. And so what MTI did with Dochterman's help is we constructed a 3-minute educational awareness video that if you go out to our website and click on benefits and zero down to insurance video.
Is it? Yeah.
It's a 3-minute video. Yeah, it's a video that can educate your insurance agent as well as your insurance company on the importance of safety and what MTI members take safety so critical and what they do about that. Fire suppression, it's got it all in there. It's a great 3-minute video to show anybody that's dealing with your insurance. But what I want to encourage you to do is to simply, and I'm going to let Jamie tell you how to do this, but I would encourage you to just reach out to them and let them have that opportunity to give you a quote. The more people we put in the program, the better it is for everybody. And it's quality stuff. So Jamie, if members are interested in getting that free quote and analysis, what's their next step?
Absolutely. You can email either Jonathan or I. It's jonathan@dochterman.com, jamie@dochterman.com. Go to our website, Dochterman Insurance, if you want to check us out beforehand, learn a little bit more about us. That helps you feel more comfortable. And then also on the MTI website, heattreat.net, go to business insurance and you can get a link to us there.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. A lot of people go to Heat. That's what they know. So you go to heattreat.net
Yep.
And there's a benefits tab at the top. You click the benefits. The third option is the business insurance program. Click that, and it takes you right to the page that they've dedicated to our membership and our program. And you can click in and get email to them and get the process started, at least looking and getting a quote.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So, Jonathan, Jamie, any last comments for our members out there listening in?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, if, I know I went over a lot of information today about different components of things that shops can do actively. If we want, I can lay this out in a nice, one-page document, and we can get it out to all members, I mean, ideally, they end up working with us, but if they end up working with their broker and perfecting themselves, that's fine. But like I said, really the main goal here is just to be intentional and be proactive in what you do in your shop. And again, that helps us paint the picture for you so that we can provide a proposal that's manufacturing or heat treating specific coverages and also save you money. So
And
that's what I'm doing.
one last item, Tom, because we have faced this and we try to push through it whenever possible. Try to give us more than just a week or 3 days before
Yeah.
before the effective date. I think that has been the biggest challenge as people think about it, and it's really late in the process, and we do need time to meet, go back and forth with the carriers, make sure that we're selling them the right narrative. So just give us at least a couple weeks out if you can, if not 30 days, whenever possible.
Yes, please.
Yeah. The most scariest question you want to ask yet is, have you got any losses? And number two, the most feared question is, when's your renewal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 days out is really tough.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jonathan, if you would come up with that document, that would be
Yeah.
great, and email that to me. I would like to actually post that out in our business owners forum,
Sure.
along with the
Yeah.
video that we made, so that they can have those resources to really, and then I'll put a link to where they can get a quote, get information started for a quote. If you can send that to me, that'd be great.
The more heat treaters that trend in that direction, the better everyone off will be.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. Well,
hopefully
Jamie, Jonathan, thank you so much for being with us today. Members, thank you for listening in. We hope you've learned some stuff today and hope that you really take advantage of this benefit. Like I say, MTI's board just did some great focus time on where we're going in the future, and we just continue to drive value to you so you can succeed the next 3 to 4 years. Our forecasters are predicting 3 to 4 years of incremental good growth. So we want to help you take advantage of that. So call us. You can go to heattreat.net to get anything you want MTI. You got the mobile app, and you can email me at tom@heattreat.net, and I'll get you pointed in the right direction with our team. Have a great day. And remember, you're not just strong, you're MTI strong. Talk to you soon.
Take care all.
Thanks.